Hi, good evening. We will get started. My name is Mallory Aldrich. I am the senior manager for the Carolyn D. Bradley Scholarship.
And hi, everybody. My name is Daniel Martinez, and I am the program coordinator for the CDB Scholarship.
So we will begin the webinar. I just want to put this out here that we will please hold all questions till the end because we might get to your answer later on in our webinar. So please just hold all questions till the end, and we will have an opportunity to discuss them then. So thanks so much. So just quick background about the Institute for Educational Advancement. We are a nonprofit. Our headquarters are in Pasadena, California. Outside of the Carolyn D. Bradley Scholarship, we also have a few other programs. UNASA is our summer camp, which is a camp for gifted students, which is not quite an academic camp, but supports the whole gifted child altogether. We have our academy classes, which are enrichment courses primarily held in our learning center here in Pasadena, but we do have some online options as well. And these cover a wide variety of topics from STEM, arts, and humanities. There actually is a few spots available in some of the online classes still. If you are interested and it's geared more towards the older kids as well. So if you want to look on our website about that, there might be some openings for some of our online academy courses that you could take and be interested in. And then also we have our Gifted Resource Center, which is a free public tool, kind of a one-stop shop for all things giftedness for parents and teachers and students alike. That's just a little bit about IEA.
Yeah. And so before we go into the nitty-gritty of the application, here's just a rough timeline so that you guys know and so that you can use this to kind of guide yourself as to where you should be in the application process. So we opened it up in early November, late October, and then the application is due April 16th of this year, which is a Thursday, and it's due at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And we do that to encourage all of you to take a night's rest before. If it's not submitting that day, don't worry. Email us and we'll take care of it. And then May 26th is when our semifinalists are going to be announced. And then in June, our finalists are announced. And then that's when we'll set the schedule for interviews, which will be held for finalists only from late June all the way until August. And then we announce the class of 2031, or the scholars are announced in September of 2026, which is usually after Labor Day, is what we tell our family. So that's just a rough timeline for you guys.
So criteria and eligibility. So oftentimes people ask us what we look for in a CDB scholar. So we are looking for a student who demonstrates exceptional academic ability and achievement. They score the top tier in one or more of their major academic areas of a standardized test. They've taken the CTD above level assessment, and we'll talk more about that later. They strive for excellence and continually seek a more rigorous academic challenges, demonstrate leadership abilities, and always doesn't necessarily mean that they're president of every club, but that they have leadership abilities and capabilities. They're creative thinkers, they're curious and have a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for knowledge about the world, passion for learning, very motivated, high integrity and honesty, mature, strong sense of self. They seek an accelerated diverse high school program and that they are a citizen of the United States. Um,
Okay, so this is just a screenshot for you guys to see on our application. If you go to our website right now, this is exactly what you'll see. Educationaladvancement.org/CDB will get you there as well. And then you click on the apply button, and then we'll go through a little more in detail. And you can also access the application checklist, which is also accessible through the form. And then if you would like just to have a hard copy of it, you can have a PDF of the application essay questions as well. So this is page one of what you see once you click on that how to apply. And you click apply now. This is what you'll see. That first page is just kind of the landing page. You'll have a checklist there. And then if you look at it, you'll notice that there's a button on the top right that says resume a previously saved form. And what right next to that that says save my progress and resume for later. So you should only be working on one form at a time. And we say that because sometimes you'll get in there and you'll save your progress, you'll come back and you'll say, wait, it's not letting me go back in. That's usually just a typo, or you forgot your password or something. And if that happens, don't start another application. We will go ahead and reset your password and correct the typo just to make sure that you can get back into that one application. It makes everything easier and it makes sure that your application stays all together. Now, every time that you are working on the application, let's say you get to page 4 or 5, you just hit that save my progress and resume later. It'll ask you to type in your email and a password. And yes, you need to do that every time you want to save. It can be the same password, it can be a different password, but keep the same email every time that you hit save.
So the application components and we'll go more into detail as we go through there. And we talked a little bit about them. So you have your general application form, your CTD above level assessment, or the SAT or ACT, 2 most recent years of school or state standardized test scores, transcripts or grade reports, outside academic coursework, extracurricular activities, honors and awards, quick takes, reflective prompts, a student work sample, parent and guardian statement, academic recommendation, and additional recommendation. And these are the required components. There are some optional components, and we'll talk about those as well.
So the first question that we always get is the mandatory testing. So this year is the first year that there's 2 types of mandatory testing. So the first one is your 2 most recent years of a school or state standardized test scores. These include anything like the Terra Nova, the STAR, the PART, the MAPS, the CASP, the iReady, the ERB, the New York Regents, and all these are just the examples we could think of off the top of our head. But if it's any test that's mandated by your state or your school that everybody takes, that is a standardized test. We've also gotten questions on, what if I don't have the 2 most recent years? What if I only took 1 year? That's completely fine. You just need to email us a statement saying that and have a document saying that you only took standardized test 1 year. Or if you don't take it, if you're homeschooled, that is also okay. You just need to include that as part of your application as an explanation as to why you didn't take standardized test scores. When I say the highest tier, that's usually, if it's a stanine, it's usually the highest stanine, so like the 9th stanine, the 10th stanine. If it's usually in tiers, it'll be like excels or anything like that. So that's what like the top tier and at least one qualifying subtest. So that's math, reading, or any of the subtests that are in that standardized test. This is different from the second type of testing, which is the CTD above level assessment or the SAT or the ACT. So with this one, we're really recommending the CTD above level assessment. This is in partnership with Northwestern, and we get the scores directly. And it's a test that they've designed to mimic either the ACT or the SAT. You get to pick, and it mimics it exactly, down to the questions, down to the subjects and the timing. And we always get asked what are a good way to prepare for this. SAT or ACT preparation should get you there, and it's also again aligned to those, and it mimics those tests. Those are the dates. The January 24th one you can still sign up for and be in time. And then you'll notice that one is April 12th, which is 4 days before the application is due. We will get those test results in time. And so that's why we're also recommending this test, because it's the one that's the most accessible to everybody. The other one, of course, is the SAT or the ACT. I will say if you're a minor, it is a little harder to register for those two, but you just need to contact College Board, and all questions about the format of the test and things like that should be directed towards CTD or the College Board or the ACT.
There's no mandatory score or minimum score for the CTD above level assessment or the SAT or ACT. So don't worry about that if we do not have one. Additionally, we do not care if when you're signing up for the CTD above level assessment, we'll ask you the ACT or SAT. Pick your poison, whichever one you want. You can choose. Either one works. After you register for the test, you will receive practice things from CTD itself and more information about the test and practice questions and stuff like that. And then again, like Daniel said, for the SAT or ACT, if you're under 13, it's a little more difficult. The CTD is a far easier test to register for. And if you need a fee waiver, you can contact us for that one as well, and we can help you. There is a misnomer around on the internet that the standardized testing is the most important part of the CDB application, and that is absolutely not true. We don't know why people say that. And don't worry about the score that they give. This is just serving as an aptitude test at this point. We know that many kids won't have had the curriculum that they may be covering math on this. That's fine. This is serving as an aptitude test for kids at this age, and we know that they're not high schoolers and that maybe not have taken all these high school classes. CTD also understands that. So don't worry, just one part of a very long application. And so those are the two aspects that you have to do. Um, Regarding specific test examples, if a good rule of thumb, if your entire grade level has to take the test, or if you're in a public school and the entire district has to take the test, it's a standardized test and you're good to go. So don't worry about if we didn't mention or we don't have the test listed here. There's a million of them. And again, if you're homeschooled or you attend a school that doesn't have standardized testing, just on the application, you'll just write up why you don't have those, and that's fine. We have scholars every year who are selected who don't have those standardized testings, but you still will be required to do the CTG test.
Yep. So the next part of the application that's required are your transcripts or your academic courseworks. So we request all of your transcripts from the 2024-2025 school year. So for you guys, that would be sixth grade. And then the first semester or the first trimester of 2025 through 2026. So that is this current school year. Now, if you don't get traditional transcripts or if you don't get traditional grades, we have seen everything. We've seen narrative grades. We've seen every single type of grade that you could think of. Send both of those, the 2024 and the 2025-2026. The whole year for sixth grade, and then just one part of 2025 through 2026 school year. Now, if you're homeschooled and you don't have traditional grading or transcripts, send us along your homeschool course plan, and that can work as your transcript. And any grades that you've taken, any grades that you've gotten, send those over as well. And then additional academic coursework. This is for you to share any course that you've taken outside of your school. It can be graded or non-graded through things like CTY, CTD. If you're taking one of our academy courses, they have transcript grades as well there too. So any of the additional coursework, this is just something that you think is important to your application that you've taken outside of a traditional school or your traditional homeschool.
The next part is the reflective prompt. So there are two parts of the reflective prompt, and students will submit a total of 3 reflective prompts. The first is mandatory, and that's part A. Every single applicant will answer this question in essay form. So pretty easy. And again, you can download the essay prompt if you want to work on them on your own. We recommend while you're doing the prompts to do them on either a Google Doc or a Word doc, and then you can edit it and then copy and paste it into the application when you're ready to submit, just so nothing accidentally happens. Technology, have it in multiple places. So part A, everyone has to answer this question in an essay form. Part B, there are 5 additional prompts, and each applicant will pick 2 of the prompts to respond to. One of those 2 prompts can be a creative submission. So it can be a collage, artwork, audio or video recordings, poetry, anything that's not a traditional essay. You can do that. If it is a multimedia piece, you will need to create that in that file and put it either in a Google Doc or a private YouTube or a Dropbox and put the link in so that because our system is not able to have that big file in with the application. They need to be no more than 3 minutes, and that is a hard 3 minutes. And there's directions on how to submit those as well. So one of them can be creative. If you are not a super creative person, you can do 3 essays, and that's totally fine too. It's up to you. We just wanted to give the opportunity for those who maybe have want to express themselves differently. So part A, everyone answers the same question. Part B, there's 5 essay prompts, and you choose 2 of them.
Yeah. So then this is also one of the newer parts of the application this year. This is the mandatory graded work sample. So you have to submit a work sample of a graded paper, project, or any piece of work that you've created in the past year in school from a core subject. And when we say core subject, we just mean it's either in the STEM field, so math, science, if you're taking biology, chemistry, any of those type of classes, or in the humanities field, which again is your traditional English class, social studies, history, and it has to be graded because we want to see that feedback. We want to see how your teachers are giving you feedback, and we want to see the level of work that you're producing in school. And if you're homeschooled, again, this could be from one of your courses or from anything that is in your transcript. These are where you should be getting your work samples from. They should be about 3 to 5, a written description of 3 to 5 sentences of the work sample. It should not be more than one chapter of a book, or 5 pages of a written report. Now, if you're submitting a science project that is, 25 pages long, find the most important and those 3 to 5 pages, or 5 pages, sorry, those 5 pages that really encapsulate that work, whether that's the conclusion or whether that's the hypothesis or any of those sections. Just limit yourself to 5 pages because we're doing this so that we can give everybody a chance to submit their graded work sample.
The next part is the optional creative work sample. So applicants may submit a creative work sample that was significant to them in the past year. It can be inside or outside of a class, but it should not be from a core class because that's where the mandatory graded sample comes from. So it can't be from school, but it could be from like Spanish class or art class or something else that you took. Applicants should explain why the piece of work is significant to them. And your work sample may be in any academic or non-academic domain. So it could be from something outside of school that you did that you were really proud of. So maybe something that you did with your part of the Scouts or something like that that you want to show us. But should demonstrate your ability, aptitude, creativity, and motivation. The creative work sample cannot be from a core academic subject as previously described. Example of this can be include music, sports, dance, poetry, novel, art portfolios, anything that's outside of the core academic field. Again, this can be an audio video file, but should be no longer than 3 minutes. If it's written as a novel or an art portfolio, it should be no longer than 5 pages. So again, this is just, it's optional. You do not have to do it, but there are some people who want to showcase themselves in a different way to us. And so we want to make sure that they do that.
Okay. So this next one is the parent guardian statement and the optional information, which are two separate pieces of the application. The first one being the parent guardian statement, it just provides us an opportunity to see how the parents see their child, but also for parents to share information that their child or their applicant isn't already sharing in their application. We ask guiding questions to help you guys understand what exactly you should be stating in the parent statement, but they should be no more than 500 words total, and that's answering all the questions. So not 500 words per question, but one page, roughly 500 words in a parent statement. Some parents have written this as a letter, some parents have written this as an essay. Whichever format is better for you is completely fine with us. It should be, again, a total of 500 words. And then the optional information, this is where applicants submit information that is not shared elsewhere. So whether that's an applicant does dance or orchestra or anything else that isn't already highlighted in the application, this is where you can highlight that. It's not meant to be an extra essay, so don't answer one of the prompts here. It's more so meant to contextualize the applicant a little more in things that haven't been addressed in the application already. You can also include community service or anything that you've done, or if there's like a gap in your education for whatever reason, you can also include that, and you can submit one document that's 500 words total and 2 additional documents to support that statement.
Extracurricular activities and honors and awards and quick takes. So there is space for 5 extracurricular activities and 5 honors and awards on the application. Be mindful of the allotted space, and do not try to squeeze multiple items into one section. We know that applicants are super involved in a lot of things, but what we're asking is for them to share with us the 5 things that are most important Excuse me, the 5 things that are most important to them as they're submitting the application. So if it's an award from first grade, maybe you don't need to share it, but think of the most things that are the most recent to share. The scholarship committee wants to know what are the things that are most important to you. Quick take section is an area for applicants to show the application readers more about them in a fun, short answer way. Most of these can be answered in one sentence, and they should never be longer than 3. This is my favorite part of the application. You really get to see those applicants and who they are and what they like and their sense of humor. So it's a really, really fun and section, and you should treat it as that.
Yeah. So this is another part of the application that we get the most questions about, because we did switch up our recommendations a little. So applicants are still required to have 2 recommendations, and they should come from different people. So the first one is an academic recommendation, and this should be your 6th or 7th grade humanities or STEM teacher. So this can be your math teacher, this can be your science teacher, again, biology, algebra, calculus if you're taking it, any sort of pre-calculus, any sort of traditional STEM course, or a humanities course. So that's again English, social studies, history. Some kids take philosophy. Those are what you should be looking for in your academic recommender. It should be somebody that sees a majority of the student population. Now, if you're homeschooled, this can be one of your tutors or one of your courses that you've taken, whoever taught that course from the humanities or STEM perspective. The next one is an additional recommender that should be someone that knows the student outside of the traditional classroom. So this can be an elective teacher, like an orchestra teacher, a Spanish teacher. It can also be a school administrator if you're really close with your principal or your counselor. It can be a coach if you do sports or if you do other things that involve coaches. It can also be a community leader or a volunteer leader. It can also be an extracurricular activity instructor. So, for example, if your math course teacher is also the robotics coach, they can write the additional recommendation through the lens of the robotics coach. So they should talk about how you are in robotics team, not how you are in math class. And this year, what you're going to do is you're going to put in the name of that recommender and their email. Then you, as the applicant, are going to download the PDF form, send it to your recommender, and make sure that they give that email directly back to us. They're going to fill it out. It's a form that they ask all of these questions and that they sign, and then they send that directly back to us, and we will upload it onto your application. We've already gotten the question a little bit about, is there a way for you to check? And there is technically not. The way to do that is you email us and then we will check if they've submitted it, but they do have until April 16th to submit it. So a lot of recommenders will, take their time because they are busy people. And the one question we always get is, if my application is incomplete because my recommender didn't submit their application in time, don't worry about that. We will reach out to you directly and say, hey, we haven't got any recommendation. We understand if it was late. If you could give it to us within usually about a week, we can count that and it won't count against you. Like we like to say, we're not in the business of making 7th graders cry. So again, that's why we have the system. It's a lot easier, and we will make sure to upload all of your recommendations onto your application. Yeah. So these are just more specific. This is exactly what you'll see. You'll put in their first name, their last name, their email, and then you are going to click on the link here. You download that recommendation form. It's a PDF, email it to them. This is what it looks like on the academic side, and the extracurricular side is very similar, just sort of different questions. They'll download this, they'll send it to us, and then we will upload it onto your application once it is submitted.
So we need to address this just because it's a popular topic in the world that we live in right now. As of right now, we understand that AI is a tool that students often use and that can be beneficial to learning. But we do not allow applicants to use AI to write their essays or answer any other prompts. So we want to learn more about you, the applicant, not what AI thinks the applicant should write. So we just want to make sure that that's out there, that we do not want applicants using AI for their application.
So we're getting kind of to the end of this. So How do you prepare to apply for CDB? These are just some general tips that we've had. And the first one is always take the application instructions and directions seriously. If we're asking you something, it's because we want to know that specific thing. Don't go outside of that view and don't try to, again, like we said in the extracurricular activities, don't try to fit in more space. Follow directions because that shows us that you're committed and that you know what we're looking for. So don't try to circumvent any processes or anything like that. Allow plenty of time to complete your application. So we're in January. It's still plenty of time until April, still about 4 months. And so you have time to review it and double check it. It's always good to have an extra set of eyes on it. And with that being said, it should be the student completing the work. Now, we understand, of course, that parents are going to want to look over their work and they should be, double checking and editing and revising, but that should all be done through the lens of helping the applicant, not writing the application for them. Stay within the maximum word counts. Again, if we are asking for a 500-word essay, don't try to go to 1,000 because then our system won't actually let you submit it because you've gone over the character limit. Again, this lets our selection committee members know and us that you know how to follow directions and that you know what we're asking for. Don't include extra items. I've already talked about this a little bit, including, recommendations, only 2 recommendations per applicant. If we're only allowing 5 slots for awards and honors, pick the 5 most important awards or honors to you, not necessarily the ones that you think are going to be impressive. So again, don't include extra items and just stick to the provisions that we've set out.
Like Daniel said, the student applying is the applicant, not the parent. So we want to know about the student and what they want to share with us. Oftentimes, the worst thing that an applicant can do is write the application thinking this is what they want to hear about or this is what they want to read about, not sharing who they actually are. So be yourself. So proof your work and have someone else review it. That is totally fine to have someone else help you review it and edit and things like that. That's very normal. Be original and share your passions. That's something that we really, really look for. So now we will open it up to questions. You can put it into the Q&A if you have one. So the first question we have on here is, what is the top tier score for the SAT and ACT? We don't have a required score for the SAT or the ACT or the CTD test. What we meant by top tier, that's for the state standardized test or the nationally norm standardized test. And that looks different in every single test that they have, but it's the highest level you can get, but that is not for the SAT or ACT.
The SAT score for Davidson Academy, yes, that does work because it's the CTD above level test is the same one that Davidson Academy makes their Davidson scholars take. So yes, that is for this year, that is to be accepted. All you need to do is send us your scores and we will upload them to your application directly.
Yes, the iReady test is a standardized test that you can use to submit.
Yes.
Yes, you can use gate. If you have gate test scores, that can be considered for standardized testing. Absolutely.
You answer that one. My student recently took the SAT. Will he be at a disadvantage of submitting? No. So again, you can take the CTD, the SAT, or the ACT. The only reason we say we encourage the CTD one is because it's the most accessible one, and it's the one that you can do from your house. But you will not be at a disadvantage if you already took that and not the CTD test. We accept all 3, and there is no minimum score.
Yeah, so let's say you took this is a great example. If you took an art of problem solving class, this would be an example of additional coursework that you took outside of school that you would talk about on your application. So yep, you can submit those art of problem solving grades. Absolutely. Or Russian math is another one that we get a lot of as well.
CTY courses only in the past 2 years. We would try to limit it to the past 2 years. But if you feel that, there's a compelling reason to go past the 2 to 3 years, you can submit those in extra coursework, but try to keep it within the past 2 years.
The creative work sample, for any work samples, we really say something from the last about 18 months.
Right.
So if it's something from the last 18 months, then you can submit that. And someone else about the creative work sample, it was from an engineering project that was not taught in class, but rather a problem-solving project for a real-life community problem. That's a perfect example of a creative work sample. Great.
For a graded writing sample, do you send it with teacher's marks? Yes, if you have that available to have it with teacher's marks and feedback, we really want to see that. It's also pretty standard practice now in private school applications to include a graded work sample with the feedback. And so, yes, if you have a writing sample with feedback, that is always better to submit than just the grading and the writing itself.
But we understand some schools may not have that. And we understand that feedback is going to look different depending on what school you go to and what your teacher is like, but do the best that you can.
So the application is actually for current seventh graders. Sorry if you missed out on the application.
About how many different activities or extracurriculars included would be best. Is there such thing as too little or too many? So this can be like there's 5 spots. So pick the 5 that are most important to you. We also understand that some kids and some applicants maybe only have one or maybe don't have any because of a wide variety of reasons. Their schools don't offer them. They don't have transportation to get there, whatever it is. So there is no such thing as too many or too little. Well, there is too many if you do more than 5. There's no such thing as too little because you may not have the opportunity to take them. So just put the activities and extracurriculars that you have access to and that you are a part of.
The topics that you write about and additional information or awards from before the past year, like January through March of 2025. I would say, again, the general rule of thumb is 18 months. That's just because that's the most recent. Again, unless it's super compelling, like in second grade, you got a Mensa grant. Other than that, I would say to try to keep it within the past 18 months in the additional information as well as in the award section.
How many people become finalists and how many people become semifinalists? Anywhere between 120 and 135 become semifinalists, and anywhere between about 50 to 55 become finalists, and then we will pick about 25 scholars this next year.
Can the optional creative project be some extracurricular activities which may not have an immediate result? Yes, of course. So again, the optional creative work sample is meant exactly for that. It doesn't have to be graded because it's the optional one, and it should not be from school. So again, it should be an extracurricular activity outside of school. So that's perfect.
There is no age that you have to be to apply, so you either need to be currently in 7th grade, or we like to say planning to start high school in the fall of 2027.
27.
Yes, fall of 2027. Because we know that we have acceleration, we have kids who aren't on traditional paths. Some schools don't have traditional grades, so that's what we like to say.
Yes. Can the optional statement be submitted as an essay? As long as it is not answering the prompts, like if you're not counting it as an additional prompt, yes. So if you're submitting an additional statement about how important piano is to you or cello or how important ballet is to you, that can be an essay. It just cannot be, related to the additional prompts.
But let's say you wrote about why the cello is so important to you. I would upload, if I was the applicant, I would upload as the supporting piece, a video of me playing the cello.
Right.
Yeah, so students can submit work from 6th or 7th grade. Like we said, a good rule of thumb is about the past 18 months.
This recording is going to be available after this meeting on our website, on our YouTube. It just takes us a little bit of time to upload because it is a large file. So I would say within the next week, it'll be up.
Again, if like we said earlier, we understand that kids are in different worlds of acceleration and things like that. So that's why we say you are qualifying. You're to qualify if you're either currently in 7th grade or planning to start your high school program in the fall of 2027.
Classes and coursework outside of school are not a requirement. Those are optional. Those are just we just include that because we've seen it a lot, and especially in the transcripts, we see a lot of people take outside courses.
Are you supposed to just take the CTD above level test only once? That's what we recommend. We cannot stop you if you do take it more than one time, but we do recommend only one time. If someone does take it more than once, we will super score the score. But again, it's not recommended to take it more than one time. You just need to take it the one time.
Yes. IQ tests are something you can submit, one in lieu of standardized tests, but also in additional application or additional information. We've also seen parents talk about it in their parent statement.
This is a really great question. I recently transferred to a new school. Will it appear odd that all my awards and recommendations will be from my old school? No, it will not, because we'll see on the application it has school info. So we'll see that you moved to a new school. That's something very common that we see.
There are a lot of smart kids doing great things. Could you articulate what you're looking for? This is actually a really good question. So we've also often been asked if there's like a profile of CTD students at or CDB students. And the answer is there's not a specific. We're just looking for seventh graders that really know that really love to learn and are passionate about learning, and they're passionate about growing, and they're passionate about challenging themselves. And so we don't have a typical student that we're looking for. We're just looking for a passionate student, someone that is really, really excited to learn, and someone that is really excited to, challenge themselves and put themselves out there.
For the SAT, if you decide to take the SAT, we only need the reading and math part. We don't need the essay part.
Yes. Yeah, so registering for the CTD above level assessment, that all that information is on our website, and it's actually a very detailed document provided by Northwestern, so that's why I'm directing you guys there. Does CDB provide any waivers? Yes, we do. All you need to do is email us with your circumstance, and then provide either a financial aid award letter if you're in a private school, free reduced lunch, or any other documentation, and then we can provide you with those waivers that you will then um, you provide when you're registering for the CTD above level assessment.
If my school does not give standardized tests every year, do you want the most recent from sixth grade, or do you need to go back earlier? So let's say that's totally fine. You could just submit your sixth grade one and let us know we don't do them every year. This is why I only have sixth grade. That's totally fine. You name a scenario with pretty much anything, we've seen it before. So we understand that standardized tests are different at every school, but if you just have the one, that's totally fine.
In California, there are public homeschool charters that allow students to use courses outside to fulfill core subjects, but the transcripts of that public charter doesn't show those courses and only shows a grade based on those work samples submitted from those courses. Should those be included as second page of the transcript? Yes, I think that is a good rule of thumb. If you were, especially because it's a homeschool, it would kind of sort of be in your homeschool plan. And so that's the idea of submitting your homeschool plan. And if you could condense it to a PDF, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's why we have a space for homeschool students to submit their plans, so we see that. We know that their coursework is going to look different than someone who's at a traditional brick and mortar school. If my child attends a private school and does not take any state standardized tests, can an all grade final exam count for standardized testing? No, because that's not a standardized test since it's just for that school. So it's totally fine. You would just on that area where it talks about standardized testing, you would just let us know that the school does not offer standardized test scores. It will not ding them. Right? It's just one piece of the application. We have every year kids who do not submit standardized tests and receive the scholarship. So that's okay.
Right. Will you accept recommendations written other than English? I would say yes. It would just might take us a while to, contact you saying that we might need a translation, and we'll do our best to find a translator on our own, whether that's here in the office or whether that's outside. Especially if it's going to be more true to what they're going to write, we will accept recommendations in other languages.
So this person, their child's a Davidson Scholar, and we may have some others on here as well. So this would be in an award that they received that you would write that they're a Davidson Scholar. So it's a perfect example there.
Yeah, so SSAT used to be required several years ago. We changed it to SAT, ACT, and now the CTD above level just because they're more accessible tests and they're a lot more easily available to people. And the SSAT, while it was a very good test, you had a lot of success with that. It more closely aligns with standardized tests than with the SAT or the ACT.
The SAT and the ACT and the CTD tests are more of an aptitude test. The SSAT is not. It is more aligned with the grade level for how you will do in secondary schools.
The Iowa test from March 2024 would be acceptable as a standardized test.
Yes.
Yes. Recommendation form need to be printed, or do parents send a link directly to the recommender? Um, Yeah, either one. So you can either submit it, you can either print it, give it to your recommender, and then they, scan it and upload it and email it to us directly. Or it can be, it is a fillable PDF. So if you download it and then send it to them, they should be able to type in all their answers. But either one is okay as long as their handwriting is legible. But we'll reach out if we can't read it.
Yeah, the easiest is just to download the form and email it to them, and then they email it back. When talking about the optional, what is something not on the application? Is that a place where a video of something creative can be submitted? Or is that really only for the creative work sample? Just wasn't clear. So this is yes and both. So let's say someone in the creative work sample submits their art portfolio. Well, they also are really involved in basketball, okay? But they've not really been able the chance to showcase us their love of basketball. So the optional part, they can talk to us about how they are involved in basketball and what they do, and maybe submit a video there. So that would be that example. Just an opportunity for you to showcase something that isn't yet showcased on the application elsewhere. It's not a place for you to put your resume or to go more in depth about your love of something that's already been talked about, just something that hasn't yet been addressed. Or like Daniel said, a gap in your education, or maybe you had one B minus on your grade report of straight A's and you want to be like, well, this is why that happened. That's where you can talk to us in the optional information.
Mhm. Is there any way to run my son's information to see his application is in line? Again, we see applicants from all over the country and from all over the educational spectrum. So there is not one prototypical CDB scholar, CDB finalist, CDB recipient. There's not one prototypical one. So I would say that no, there's not a way to see if you're in line. And again, we've actually gotten a lot of feedback saying that like even though, XYZ they didn't get it or they, only reached finalists, like they really appreciated the application because it is tedious and it is time consuming, but it also lets students really find out what they're passionate about, what they like to learn. And I mean, in 4 years, it is a very good preparation for your college application.
Again, time frame for graded work, the last 18 months.
Yes. Using sports for creative submission. I think Mallory just talked a little bit about that. Yeah, you can do a highlight reel, but then I would also include like an explanation of that highlight reel and just talk more about why you're submitting that for your creative work sample.
Yeah, so let's say someone wanted to submit themselves playing their cello or any other instrument that they're part of. Quickly at the very beginning of the video, explaining what song they're going to play and why they chose this piece. This should not be long. The video can be no longer than 3 minutes total. So just like we know a lot, but we may not know everything about every, so give us a little bit of background knowledge of what we're watching is great.
Mhm. Summer camps with an academic focus, if you receive grades, would count as additional coursework. Again, I'm thinking like CTY, Johns Hopkins, things like that, or math camps. Yes, those would count as additional coursework.
Do you take the WISC-V or GoCat as testing alternatives for young students who do not have access to the SAT or ACT? No, but that is why we are offering and encouraging all to sign up for the CTD above level assessment because everyone has access to that. It's very easy to register for. It is just kind of long to register, but it is easy. And if you are not able to pay the fee, we are able to give you a fee waiver for that. It's done at home. So it's a lot more comfortable. So that is one reason we chose this test and to partner with Northwestern. Where previously, prior to 2020, we did require the SAT or ACT for all applicants, but that really was a barrier for young students who didn't have access to it. So that's why we encourage the CTD test.
I think I see about three or four of how many applications do you normally get. I think Mallory kind of ran through the numbers. It's anywhere from like 400 to 500 depending on the year, and then 130 about of those go on to be semifinalists, 50 to 55 finalists, and then this year 25 scholars.
So someone joined a little late. I just want to know about taking the SAT or ACT as a seventh grader. Again, we understand that not that they may not have all the content that is on the test. This serves as an aptitude test at this point in time. Again, another reason why we do really like the CTD testing is that it's done at home. It's not done at a random high school with a whole bunch of juniors of high school who are taking it to get into college. So it's a much more comfortable test for younger kids as well to take. And they're not as kind of nerve-wracking and anxiety-inducing. So that's why we recommend that over the SAT or ACT at this point in time.
Will the slides be shared? So we won't share the slides, but we'll have a recording of this webinar.
So there are two optional essays. Which topic can be a video? Either one. So again, part A, mandatory, has to be an essay. Part B, you answer two of the five. One of the two can be creative. Doesn't matter which one, just one of them.
Yeah. So if the student is outside during the summer when we do interviews, can it be done remotely? So it's really up to your schedule and it's really up to if that aligns. We'll one way or another we will interview the finalists, so that can be remotely, or if the student is back towards the end of the summer, we will, try to go within 2 hours of your hometown.
So again, quick timeline. We did this at the very beginning, but we know some people joined late. Applications are due April 16th. By May of 2026, we will announce the semifinalist. By June of 2026, we will announce the finalist. Those finalists, we will then contact and set up for your interview, and that's where Daniel talked about where we try to travel within 2 hours of you. We we figure out a schedule to try to meet everyone in person, but sometimes we do have to do an online interview. Last year we didn't do any. We did one, so it does happen. And then scholars are announced around Labor Day.
Do we don't have, again, like I think I've kind of repeated this, but we don't have a profile of previous scholars because we've seen scholars that are, super niche and focused into math. We've seen scholars that are super well-rounded. We've seen scholars that don't really know what they're passionate about yet, but they love to learn and they want to challenge themselves. So we don't really have a profile of previous scholars.
Yeah, we purposely don't publish those because, like we said, the worst thing that can happen for an applicant is them writing their application in the lens of this is what they want to see, this is what they want to read, and not what they really are. And we can tell those applicants and applications right away that this is not their true self. So we don't want people to do copycats of what previous scholars have done. We want them to be who they are.
Yeah. Kind of in line with this, is there the screening process? So the application process is a holistic review of the applicant. So there is not one, there's not a minimum score for SATs and ACTs, and there's a reason for that. It's an aptitude test. There's not, you have to have 17 awards. And again, I'm just pulling that number at random. There's not any other criteria. There's is a holistic review of the application. So every part of the application is just one other, lens or another data point into the scholar. It's not necessarily, a qualifying, non-qualifying.
When is the best time to take the CTD in the seventh grade? So we have test days that are in partnership with CTD that they take. So you can find those on the testing requirement section. And there's multiple, either Saturdays or Sundays that you can sign up to take that test.
Yes. We actually don't keep record of past year scholars SAT or ACT score. We don't publish that either.
So quick takes, what are they and where do you find them? They're exactly what they are. They're quick takes, quick answers to questions, and they are on the application. We don't have them written down. So they are just really fun things like what's your favorite book? What's your favorite animal? Favorite word? Favorite type of food? Just fun things to get us to know about the applicant.
If transcripts reports only have letter grades, how to transfer to current unweighted GPA. There are, unweighted GPA calculators online. Those are a pretty good resource. But if you leave that GPA blank or, a guesstimate, that's fine. We won't ding you just because, you said you had a 4.2 when it was really a 4.15.
Yeah, do the best you can.
Yeah.
Does taking your summer classes count as a differentiator and a successful application? No. I mean, we understand people come from all different types of life, and some are able to take summer classes and some are not for whatever reason. It's just another piece. If you did and you want to tell us about it, that is great.
Mm-hmm. What grade for report cards would you be looking for? Again, we don't really, there's no minimum. So we just want to see your grades and your transcript to contextualize the applicant a little more. It's not necessarily, that we're looking for straight A's. We've seen it all.
Do you look for scholars that are the top tier in both humanities and STEM? What if a student is very strong in March and in math and STEM, but not too strong in humanities? So yeah, we have scholars that are, as we say, kind of pointy arrows that are really strong in one subject and not as strong in others. And then we have some who are strong in both. And that's the kind of the beauty of building a cohort. We have scholars who are all each one and every one. So we look for everything. Um, what the thing is that if it is like someone who's very strong in math and science, and they tell us why they love math and science and why that is their passion, and maybe they don't take as many extracurricular courses or spend as much time in the humanities because their passion is in math and STEM.
STAR and SBAC do count as standardized tests. I just saw the one right above. The SCAT count as an examinable standardized test. Um, yes, it would count as a standardized test. If it's within the last, because it's standardized. So again, there's a distinction between standardized and then the SAT or the ACT. Standardized test, it has to be within the last 2 years. So that's fifth or sixth grade or seventh grade if we have it. And then the SAT or the ACT, those are mandatory tests. Those are not standardized tests. There's a difference. How would I represent a sport? Would I just submit a photo of or video? So again, we've kind of talked about that. That can either be like in the optional information if you feel like you haven't talked about the sport that you do and the sport that you love. You can submit like a quick 500-word essay saying like why you love the sport, and then a video or a highlight reel of you participating in the sport or doing something in the sport. Or you can submit it as a creative work sample as well. Either one of those is acceptable.
Do you accept IB grading? Yes. So we like to joke. We have see all types of grading. So we see IB grading, we see weighted grading, we see unweighted grading, we see no grades because there are some schools that don't have any grades. So submit what you have, and we understand how to interpret the courses and what the grade is.
The interview process, again, this is like way far down the line, but we typically try to travel within 2 hours of a student's hometown. So and obviously if you live in a big city, it's easier to coordinate that interview. But if you live in remote areas, we try to get within 2 hours of you. And if your schedule doesn't work and our schedule doesn't work, you're not going to be at a disadvantage because of that. We will try to interview remotely, and we'll try to interview through Zoom, a phone interview, either any of those options. So if that's a barrier to you applying, or if that's a barrier for your interview, it won't be.
And the interview, it's a time to get to know the finalists off paper. We've read about them lots of times, and now we get to know them and why we do it in person and travel. We get to know them in person, and
Uh, no, I would say to take either the CTD or the SAT, because you can only submit. It only allows you to submit one for that slot. It asks you which one did you take, and then submit it. If you wanted to, take both and then submit your highest score, we will be able to see that as well.
Is the CTD administered SAT test can be the same for the Davidson? Yeah. So if you took the Davidson online application and you have a test score or Davidson Scholars or Young Scholar, anything Davidson related, yes, that counts. In the last 18 months.
There could be 3 places where video: creative work sample, one of the optional, and the optional. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, there is, you're right, 3. It can be the creative work sample, one of the optional part B essays, and in the optional section as well. And again, when submitting video, we do ask that you don't submit that file directly. You submit a link to that Google Drive, private YouTube, Vimeo. We've seen Dropbox. We've seen it all, just not the direct file, because it actually won't let you submit your application. It'll say the file's too large.
And again, you don't have to submit any videos. We have some people are not super creative and don't want to make them. That's totally fine too. We just want we don't want to make it seem like you have to if that's something that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. So my school standardized test scores in the top 10% nationally, but top 20 for independent schools. Yes, we are looking at the national score, not the independent school score.
Yes. If your school doesn't do standardized tests every year, again, just submit the 2 most recent ones, but 5th grade is probably right about the edge of still being in time.
Yeah, so just for the standardized test scores, just submit what you have. If you're taking some new ones in the spring, don't worry about it, and so you only have from 6th grade or only have from 5th grade, that's totally fine. Just submit what you have.
Mm-hmm. if I have to, have taken two completely different standardized tests each year, do I send both or just one from each year? Again, just the two most recent ones.
Um, can the applicant take the April 12th CTD test? Yes, that's why we have it offered. The test dates that are on our website are just for people applying to the CDB scholarship, and we will get those scores back in plenty of time.
Yes. Oh, thank you for asking this. Yes, we only interview the finalists, so it would be that last 55, 50 applicants that are finalists, and those interviews typically happen late June all the way into late August.
And if you're a finalist, you will be notified in June if you've made end of June if you've become a finalist.
I just went to a new school for seventh grade. Could ask the previous elementary school teacher to write the recommendation, or so if you still have contact with your sixth grade teacher, yes, but it has to be from sixth or seventh grade, not further back.
So the NWEA transcripts include all the years it was taken. You can't select certain grades. Will that work? Yeah, that's totally fine. You can, again, submit what you have.
One more question. Is it okay to cut the video to 3 minutes if the original video is longer? Yes. Look, yeah, that's a good question. You can either, submit the first three. If you submit the whole 10-minute video, we will not watch the whole 10-minute video. We will only watch the first three. So if you want to edit out into like the best 3 minutes, that is completely acceptable. Just contextualize it a little.
Yeah. What if the previous sixth grade school closed? Can I request the school records from the current school? Yeah, so if you're, and this would be a great example in the optional section, right? Let's say your school closed and and you lost the report card that was submitted to you, so you can't go online, so you don't have those grades. That's totally fine. And that's where you would tell us in that optional area why you're missing something. So do the best you can, like Daniel said, and we like to joke about. We're not in the business of making seventh grade students cry. So if there's something that you don't can't get right away, or let's say the school is closed, or the lady who does the transcripts is on maternity leave, just let us know, and we will work with you again. Like also, we every year it happens is you guys are uploading applicants are uploading things and they accidentally upload the work sample twice instead of the work sample and a transcript. And we go through and we'll email you and say, I think you messed up. Can you please send us the transcript? And we give you about 2 days, 2 to 3 days to get that to us. So we work with you all because we know this is a really long application. It's often the first really long application for these students. So we want them to have a good experience with it.
Dual enrollment recommendation letters, if they were taken during that's an example of an additional recommender. For the core recommender, the academic recommender should be someone that sees either the entire or a majority of the seventh grade or sixth grade population at your school.
Like we said, we will select about 25 scholars this year, and those will be announced in September. Are there any other questions? Thank you so much for coming. Like we said, this video will be online probably within the next week or so, and we will send an email out to let you all know when it is available on our YouTube page. And we have one last question. Can the applicant take the above CTB level test multiple times before the April 16th deadline? Yes, you can. We don't recommend it. We just say you need to take it one time and submit it. But if you do want to take the test multiple times, you can. Those test dates that are available on our website are the ones for the CDB applicants only. And we will super score if you do submit, but we do not recommend taking it more than one time. Thank you so much, everyone. You have a great night.